Greetings and
Salutations.
and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2
Ooh.
of the Rink Moose Episodic Podcast, a weekly episodic podcast where two good pals get together and discuss all things NHL and their implications in the fantasy hockey universe. I'm one of your hosts, Nick Costu, along with this schmuck, Kyle Nice. Kyle, how are you doing today?
Let's cut the crap, Nick.
Cut the
You know
crap.
what? You've had me on the edge of my seat for days now.
Days.
Yeah.
I think it was more like 24 hours.
24 full hours. That's
24
days.
full hours.
Basically, Nick sent me a picture. I don't know how much I can reveal without your story, but he sent me a picture of a certain rare jersey with a certain rare signature on it, and I got nothing. I got no explanation. He said, "Wait for the show." So, ladies and gentlemen, you and I are going to find out what Nick's on about for the first time together here. And I'm ready to dive into this, Nick. I'm ready to just get into how
ready,
you met
eh?
the kid.
Wow. This is great. I mean, because, for those who are unaware, I mean, Kyle has had the luxury of meeting some very famous people in the past year. I think that's safe to say, right?
That's very safe to say.
Pierre
yeah.
Maguire, Connor McDavid, Quentin Byfield. I
Yeah.
mean, the list goes on.
Yes, it does.
So Kyle issued me a challenge before heading off to school this year. So for those of you who don't know, Kyle issued me a challenge before heading off to school this year in lovely Kingston, Ontario, saying, Nick, I've been doing all the heavy lifting in the past year, meeting, Connor McDavid, Pierre Maguire, Quentin Byfield. The list goes on. It's an impressive list. I'll give him that. And he said, you know what, Nick? You got to do some heavy lifting for once. You can't just sit in the corner. So he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, you got to find Shane Wright somewhere in Kingston, Ontario. And so this past week, I usurped the challenge to find this 15-year-old lad in this big city of ours here in Kingston. So, you want to know how I did it?
I do. I've been waiting
Okay.
for this.
I'm visiting Kingston. I foreshadowed it a little bit by talking about Marco Rossi. Of
Yeah.
course, how he'd be there, top 10 prospect. Marco Rossi, top 10 pick in this upcoming NHL draft. At least that's what the pundits and prognosticators are saying. And I mean, of all people, Kyle, an hour before the game, shoots me a message saying, "Hey, this guy's not playing tonight. He's been suspended for the next 5 games." So immediately I'm in a shitty mood, and I'm not feeling too good about this evening.
Fair.
Very fair. But I go nonetheless. I want to see my boy Shane and this team. So I go. And like I said last week, I mean, no intention in buying a jersey. I mean, it's a big investment. I'm not sold on the player. I got to watch him some more. Character does not sell a jersey. It just doesn't. And so I'm watching the game, and at some point, there's a description on the Videotron, the big screen, saying, "Hey, who doesn't love autographs? If you want to get autographs from the entire Kingston Frontenac's team,
No.
come out to this location tomorrow afternoon." So this is like halfway through the game. I hear this. So I'm hearing this, and I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, well that's a major curveball." I mean, if there's one thing better than a Shane Wright jersey, it's a signed Shane Wright jersey.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, what better of an opportunity? I don't know if this will come up again. I don't know if I'll still be here at school. I don't know, how often do they do these things?
Mm-hmm.
So I make the executive decision during the intermission. I go to the team store. I meet the guy there who's doing the jersey pressing, the jersey guy,
Yeah.
and I say, "Hey, I want this black Kingston Frontenac jersey, Shane Wright, 51. Make it happen." And lo and behold, 10 minutes later, I have a fresh jersey ready to go. Pick it up. a nice price too. The cashier made a mistake as I was leaving, so I get this jersey, and my intention is the following day to go to this location and get Shane Wright's signature.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, should I even tell you how the game went? You want to know? Do you know?
I don't know. I take it Kingston got thrashed.
Any idea?
No.
Okay, well, yeah, they lost
Wait.
3-2 in overtime. It was a
Oh, okay. I thought that was the 10
yeah, the game. No, the
game.
game. They lost 3-2. It was no. But anyways, that's not the important part here. The important part is the next day I went out to this old beat up mall in the middle of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
This Cataraqui Center. It's about a 30-minute
my
bus ride
God.
from my place.
Sounds
It's
terrible.
out in the boonies. And I'm walking through the mall. I'm trying to find out where this autograph session is. I'm about 30 minutes early. I'm expecting, there's going to be some kind of line. And I'm walking by the Booster Juice,
Yeah.
and lo and behold, is Shane Wright in line at the Booster Juice.
No.
Yes.
No way.
And I noticed him right away. I mean, he for a 15-year-old, he's built. I mean, he's not built like your typical 15-year-old. We're all schmucks, in society. We don't eat well. but this kid looked like Crosby at 15. Like he's got his act together,
Wow. Okay.
And he's at Booster Juice, just standing there. But he's not wearing their Kingston gear. So they're almost like very they're very incognito, if I may say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And right there and then I could have just approached him and said, "Hey, I'm here for the autograph thing, but I got some readings to do later today. I got a lot of homework. Could we just get this over with right now?"
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. I mean, he was with his friends. I didn't know how he'd react to that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just walked by and I got in line for the actual autograph session. Oddly enough, I waited like 20 minutes. Kyle, this line, there was probably like 30 people in the line. That's it. To get
Really?
these autographs. Like nobody, very few people made the effort to do this.
Really?
And after the rest of the people were just like people who were shopping, like they just happened to be shopping that day, and they're like, "Oh shit, it's the Kingston people. We're just gonna go and get autographs."
Yeah.
And they'd line up and get autographs.
Huh.
But yeah, I got in line. It was time to get autographs, and I mean they give you this little sheet you can sign. You can give it to the players, and they all sign it. But I had my jersey. I had my black Sharpie. I wanted that signature.
Good on you.
And what's that?
Good on you.
Yeah, of course. And I got up there, and it's kind of awkward. I'll send you some photos later on. I think I was on Twitter. I think I was trending on Twitter because I was in a photo that they. Yeah, because they took a photo of what was going on, like get your autographs at the mall.
Oh no way! You
And
were
I
there
was
on
I
your
was center
hands and
stage.
knees. Oh
Yeah,
my god!
yeah.
Please
So you
sign
can
my
play-
jersey.
You can play a little bit of Where's Waldo later on.
Did you
but
call him
anyways.
sir?
What's that?
Did you call him sir?
Well, here's the thing, Kyle. It's awkward because
Yeah.
like it's an L-shaped structure, and you have to walk past like about a dozen players before you actually get to Shane.
Oh,
And
that's
I don't know
yeah.
I don't know who the fuck these guys are.
Yeah.
Their backs are turned to you. They're all wearing their jerseys, but like I don't know what their name is. I've only been to like 3 games, so like I'm not by no means an expert. So I'm kind of just strolling through, like saying, "Hey, like how are you?" Like not like just shooting the shit, like but like I clearly don't care about them. I don't know who they
Wow.
are.
Yeah.
So kind of awkward, but
Yeah.
they're signing that paper because like I guess they want to make all the players feel special, right?
Yeah.
And you could tell like everybody would take more time as they got to Shane, and then everybody else they just stroll on through.
Mhm.
But anyways, got up to Shane Wright.
Oh, here it is. What were the words that you said?
I
Quote for
pulled-
quote.
Listen, I pulled the jersey out of the bag. It had the all you could see was the WRIGHT. Immediately, a smile came up on his face, lit up his
No
face.
way.
I was the only person with the jersey to that point. I was like 10th in
Really?
line. Yeah,
Wow.
and I hand him over the jersey. I hand him over the Sharpie, and I say, "Hey, anywhere on the 5 there." And he grabs the Sharpie, does the very nice signature. I will say these
Okay.
kids, these 15-year-olds, they make me look terrible.
Really?
Very nice signatures.
Okay.
Um, Finishes up. He's about to pass the jersey off to me, and I awkwardly put my hand out to shake his hand, and he
Oh.
drops the jersey down, shakes my hand, nice firm handshake, and I look him
Wow.
in the eye. I look him in the eye, and I say the following words: "Character is your number one asset. Don't
You
you forget it."
you did not say that.
I said that.
No
And he
way.
smiled and he said, "Thank you very much. I really appreciate that." Like a very genuine answer.
Wow,
And
that is
it
the
was
best.
a very candid exchange.
Wow.
So we kind of had a heart to heart moment there,
Holy
but
shit.
everyone around us was hackling us. So these other 16, 17-year-olds are all like, "Yeah, Shane, you're his favorite player." No, 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 like kind of mocking us.
Wow.
And that's
Okay.
when Shane went like, "All right, guys, settle down, settle down." So it's kind of a funny exchange with
Holy
his
shit.
teammates. But
Wow.
no, it was he was just a like you could tell like he's just a bright kid and he was good with everybody else like all the little kids who came there. He was very patient. We gave you the time of day. Um, he but you could tell he still has that youthful innocence to him, because he's just 15.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was the sole exchange we had, and I got my autographed jersey, and he was as advertised. Like you could tell just by his mannerisms and the way he just looked at you. You could tell that this kid he's just a genuine good guy.
Holy shit.
So yeah, that was pretty much the extent of it.
I gotta say, hats off to you because I think you knocked it out of the park with the exchange. Like
Oh
you
yeah,
could have easily just had him sign it and run off and tell the
yeah.
story. But now I think he's like I almost want to say he's gonna remember you. You know? Like do you
Really, eh?
think
You think that's something memorable?
yeah, like who says that? Not a lot of people go
Well,
up and
yeah,
say
no,
that kind of
because
thing.
I'll be honest. Like, I was in the minority. A lot of the people there were like parents, children. So
Yeah.
like, I was. There were very few like people my age there. And no one, no, everyone was kind of shy. Like they'd kind of just give him the thing or give him what they wanted to sign, and like they go on. But I tried to have some kind of a conversation with him. So
Yeah.
I made sure I made it known, why he's a particular player I like, and he just seemed receptive to it.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
could have said something stupid. I was thinking of saying something along the lines of, "Hey, like if you ever like come down to the student district, like free drinks on you for like everybody, because you like you're fucking Shane Wright."
Oh
But
yeah.
but I don't want to be a bad influence. Like
Exactly.
he's
Yeah.
15. I don't know how many ounces of liquor he's gunned down.
Probably
So
not a lot.
and I don't want his parents knocking on my door either, saying you're a bad influence on my son. Get the fuck out.
Actually, that'd be a kind of a hell of a story.
It would be a hell of a story, but in a small town like Kingston, that shit could probably happen.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know.
Um, so yeah, I ended up just going with the genuine card, and he seemed to enjoy it. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, I'll
Fantastic.
it all worked out. I was very surprised, but
So is he your
yeah, there you
favorite
go.
junior player now?
Huh?
Is he your favorite junior player?
But he's still got to prove it on the ice. I mean,
How'd he
like
play?
I'm a harsh critic, Kyle. I mean, at this game, he was, he showed a lot that I didn't see in the other game. His two-way game was on display. Always very strong back checker. The skating was on full display. Tenacious in that
Mm.
respect. He's excellent at shielding the puck with his body, going to show he's using that big physique at just 5'11". He weighs 180 pounds, so he was really good on the power play, like at times of just keeping the puck, controlling the puck, shielding it with his body. He made a beautiful spin play as he crossed the blue line on an offensive exchange, where he did amazing spinorama and made the defender break his ankles and straight up.
No.
Like this was, yeah, it was impressive stuff. But again, no points. His
Oh.
team lost. I'm concerned a little as to if the losing, if it stays, which I assume it will, given how young this Frost will get to him. You know, I
Ah.
mean,
Losing
we've heard
mentality?
stories. We've heard stories of Sidney Crosby being a whiny baby when he showed up to Pittsburgh the first few years,
Oh, give it a
or
rest.
Connor McDavid having to have his dad drive up to Erie to calm him down when
What?
things weren't going so well early that. Yeah, his dad would drive all the way from Newmarket to Erie just to calm him down when he was upset.
Holy shit.
So I don't want the same thing to happen to this kid. He's so young, he's so full of energy, so innocent, like I said. And I don't want a 13-52 record to get him, to get on his bad side, you know?
Wow, you're
That's what happened last
concerned.
year. They were like 13-50.
Wow, Nick. You're so concerned for this guy's happiness. It's
He's so young. He's just a little kid.
you've
You
developed
should have seen this,
feelings.
Kyle.
You've
Like
developed
Kyle,
feelings.
huh?
You've developed feelings already.
Well, I mean, you're going to all these games. I mean, it's like you get a personal connection going to these games. I don't think you get from going to a professional hockey game. You know,
Oh yeah, I guess
so
so.
and you meet the guy, you shake his hand, you share a moment like that's special. You're gonna remember that. Hopefully, like you said, hopefully he remembers that. So I just hope everything goes well here. I know he's in action tonight. I think they just wrapped up actually, in Oshawa. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like think about it this way. Years from now, like if he does become Sid, that would be pretty cool if nowadays someone said I met Sid at a strip mall in Rimouski, getting my jersey signed,
Yeah, for sure.
Not a lot of people can say that.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So there's the story. I hope it lived up to your expectations.
It did. Actually, it exceeded it.
Oh wow. Breaking news. Kingston 4-1 losers.
Oh.
In Oshawa, Shane Wright first goal of his OHL.
Wow. Speak of the devil. I wonder what that
Yeah.
looks like. Boy.
Wow, so maybe I motivated him
You did.
and he scored the first goal.
You know you did. Wow, that's amazing. Holy shit. You should keep your eye on these little Kingston events and make sure you're the guy every time to just show
Right.
up.
Yeah.
You're like the
And
super fan.
next thing you know, he's joining me and my friends for beers at our
Oh
place.
yeah, right. Could you imagine we come over to watch the Kingston game and he's over before the game? He meets
God,
Dante.
no, it's such a small town. Like nothing's stopping him. Like for all I know, he could live a couple blocks away from me.
Come on, man.
Right? That's the beauty of these small little OHL cities, right?
Yeah. Well, as great as this is, we've got to move on.
Yeah.
We've got
yeah,
to.
Of course.
Oh, I have a quick update for you.
Mhm.
Have you heard the Alexis Lafreniere news?
I just like you said, he had another great game Friday at the Crosby retirement ceremony, and that's all I know.
So there's a couple big points of news there. So obviously the OT winner on Crosby night caps off a 3-point night. OT winner, not late in the third. 4-point night last night, or actually just today. And named captain of the Rimouski Oceanic. That's brand new news.
Wow.
That just happened earlier today. So that's another wrinkle in this whole story, in this draft. I don't know how many of these other guys are going to wear the C in this top 10 of this 2020 draft. Probably nobody. So that's pretty big. Just goes to show his character. And I know, like everyone says, everyone loves the guy. So that's just a little bit of Lafreniere news. And I did watch that game, the Crosby night game. Very, very impressed. Very impressed.
Okay.
Not impressed with his skating much, again, to be honest. But this guy was so clearly the best player on the ice. Like every time he'd get the puck, he'd either do like a little fancy shimmy shake to get some room, or he'd just slip a pass that absolutely no one was thinking of. So it was like
Interesting.
the vision was on full display. Extremely impressed there. The hands were pretty good. I'd say very good there. Shooting, whatever. But just the vision was outstanding. Like he can find a guy no matter what in any kind of play, and I was very impressed with that. So that's just a little bit of his style. We're gonna get to see a lot more. I'll be watching some of those games. So you give me the right updates, I'll give you the laugh updates for sure.
The laugh updates. Yeah, no, that all doesn't come as a surprise to me. Like watching that World Junior Showcase, that seemed to be his calling card,
Yeah.
making those almost impossible plays, finding his
Hmm.
teammates every opportunity. So yeah, not all too surprised to hear that.
So do you want to start off with this Western preview then?
Yes. So, for those of you who didn't watch last episode, I implore you to give it a listen. We ran down our East predictions in a much briefer manner than last season. Gave you a whole rankings 1 to 8 in each the Atlantic and Metro, as well as some fantasy tidbits along the way. So we're going to do the very same thing this time around, with the Western Conference. So, Kyle, where do you want to start here? Central or Pacific?
Um, let's start with the Pacific because I just find it, a lot less interesting, or a lot weaker, I
Okay.
should say.
Yeah, and it's 8 teams instead of 7, so I figure we get it out of the way.
Let's try to pump this in
Um,
about an hour or less,
sure.
if
So,
we can. Never goes that way. But like we
never
did
goes that
last
way,
time,
but
what we'll do is we'll go by division and we'll go up and down,
mhm,
and
mhm.
then I guess we'll throw in the wild cards at the end. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I haven't even thought of that, but
Okay,
yeah, no, I got it. I got it.
okay. Eighth seed, Pacific Division.
Ooh, it's
This
easy.
team will occupy last place in the conference. Pains me to say it.
Yay!
The beloved LA Kings will finish eighth in the
Yay!
Pacific Division. This to me is a mail-in job if you ever heard. I'm only going to say this, Kyle. They asked Todd McClellan, the new coach. They asked him a question. They said, "If you could describe the expectations for this season in one word, what would it be?" You want to take a guess at what he said?
The expectations in one word.
Yeah.
Uh, oh man, have fun.
What do you think this is? House League?
I do, yeah, for these guys.
Have fun. That's 2 words. That's cheating.
Sorry. Enjoy
Anyways.
enjoy it.
Anyways.
I don't
Enjoy.
know.
That's even worse.
I know it. This is what
No.
the team has become.
So his answer was still pretty. It was a pretty pussy answer. It was quote growth end quote.
I knew it.
You like that?
Yeah. Well, what else is he gonna say with this
Exactly.
roster?
So that seems to be the theme here. They got some prospects that they want to develop, that they want to give a shot at playing. They picked up that guy from the Leafs. I think his name's Grunstrom, the winger
Yeah.
from the Leafs last year. They're looking to develop him. Rasmus Kupari may crack the lineup. They're looking to develop him. Toffoli is still somebody who's finding his way. Kempe is still finding his way. Now they have both Kempe brothers, if I'm correct in that respect. So it's a bunch of youngsters they want to develop, but they've also got this aging core that looks like they're kind of ready to sail into the sunset. I mean, you hear news about Jeff Carter wanting to retire. I mean, that stuff doesn't sound good. So you only assume he's not going to come with a big passion and fire to play this year. Ilya Kovalchuk was without question the worst signing of the entire offseason last year.
Oh,
This is a guy who is getting paid in the $5-6 million range and who only put up, 30 points last year.
boy.
So it's concerning. And I mean, Jonathan Quick, he's not getting any younger. He's, theories out there. He's going to lose a lot of playing time to the young Jack Campbell, who looks to be his kind of replacement in the coming years. So all those factors, Doughty's going to try hard, but only him and Kopitar can only do so much.
Yeah.
So they seem content on getting another high pick. You already got Turcotte. You already got Tobias Bjornfoot. You already got the other Russian they picked up in the draft. Those were kind of their three big picks.
Yeah.
the sniper from the Hamilton Bulldogs.
Yeah,
His
his
name
name's
eludes me right now.
yeah.
But between those three players, I mean, every big draft prognosticator said that was among the best drafts of any team at this past draft. So, looking at that, there's some optimism. There's optimism they can land a top 3 to 5 pick. Maybe the number 1 pick this coming
Nope,
draft in
nope, nope, nope,
Montreal.
nope, nope.
So I think they're content on tanking. That word by McClellan only says as much, and they're going to be right at the top of the podium come the draft, the 2020 draft in Montreal.
I do so pray that this team does not pick first overall.
Mm-hmm.
I so prayed because I will be so upset if I have to join your side and cheer for this team if my favorite player.
Wouldn't that be something?
No, I'd hate that. You know what? I'd have to buy a jersey. You know that, and then we'd show up with the same jersey, and it'd be like, come on, man, this isn't cool.
Yeah, that would
man.
be awkward.
I got nothing too much to add to this team.
Yeah,
because you know it best. But I got one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Nikolai Prokhorkin? Projected top 6 player.
Prokhorkin. Who's this?
Prokhorkin, according to Daily Faceoff, is playing second line right wing. I don't know. I've never heard of the guy. He sounds like he's out of some sort of village from Bulgaria.
That's news to me. I sure as heck have not heard of this fellow. And I'm pretty up to school on their prospects going through the system. But again, that just goes to show you that the lineups are free for all. The guys are slotting in anywhere to get youngsters exposure, anywhere to encourage Todd McClellan's quote growth. So it's a shit show, and they seem perfectly content on riding this out and just mailing it in and getting that top pick. Quentin Byfield, Lafreniere.
Don't say it like that. I don't like
I will.
it when you
I'll
say
continue
it like
to
that.
until he earns my respect. I can call him whatever I want
How's he not earned your respect?
because I've only seen him play one game.
One game?
Yeah,
How?
I saw him play at the World Junior Showcase.
What about all the
World Juniors
games?
last year? He barely played. He barely got any ice time.
Yeah, fair, fine. Doesn't matter.
This year will be the big test.
Last thing I'll say on LA is that I think they are a far bigger joke than Ottawa is. Far bigger.
So you could see them finishing last.
Oh, I think LA is going to be the worst team in the NHL.
It's just a matter if they win the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Fair enough.
I think they're way worse than Ottawa, but that's a whole different story. Quickly, in terms of fantasy, I wouldn't touch a single one of these guys with a 12-foot pole. Moving on.
Okay.
I'm not going to allow you to defend that.
Again,
I'm not going to allow
I think Kopitar's still a safe bet for 70 points, and I still believe, Doughty's only going to keep getting ice time because no one's going to usurp him on that top power play. So, again, 20 power play points for Doughty, 45 to 55 points. Still solid as a number 2 or 3 fantasy defenseman. Moving on.
You had to throw that in there. Go on. Next team.
The Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, you are blowing it.
I have the Oilers at 7, and here's why.
You're blowing it.
I don't see what they've really done this year to build up their roster. I like the coach they brought in, Tippett. I think he's going to bring in some, defensive scheming in there, something the last coach couldn't provide. I think you're going to see them, be more competitive in games, and their structure will improve. Albeit it may come at the expense of some points from McDavid and the Draisaitl. But I still don't see how they've improved. I still think the defense is not very good, even with Evan Bouchard back there joining the crew. To me, Adam Larson still looks awful when you compare him to that Taylor Hall trade. It has not aged well. Keeps getting worse every year. Clefbaum, hasn't shown he can be a top pairing defenseman. I mean, the only bright side here is probably Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard, and quite frankly, I don't think that's up to snuff to challenge for a playoff spot in this Pacific Division. So, James Neal, we'll see if he can slot in, but if anything, in Calgary as a sign, he certainly did not fit in there. So, I'm down on this team, and that's all I'm going to say.
That's harsh and it's wrong.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. My number 7 team is the Arizona Coyotes. Are you surprised?
Nope.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's not much to like here for me. I know they kind of came close last year. I don't necessarily know how they did that. I don't think Kessel is saving shit for anybody. I actually think Kessel's due to just fall off the map for this coming season. So if you drafted him, I would say that was a bad move if you took him relatively early. I don't like their center depth. I think Derek Stepan is like a decent second line center, and then you have Schmaltz behind him. I think he's a 3, so that's poor. I don't like the fact that Clayton Keller is your number 1 guy. The forwards, it's just nothing. I hate him. There's no depth there. I don't like it that much. Don't love the D. I don't think it's all that bad, but yeah, not impressive to me. I'm kind of passive on the goalies. Ranta, actually, Kemper did pretty well last year, so I think that might be the brightest spot for them is if Ranta and Kemper kind of split that job. I think that could be a pretty good tandem. But there's just nothing interesting in Arizona for me, and I mean I just look at the other teams here, and it's probably the weakest division overall. But man, this Arizona team it blows. It sucks.
And yet they almost made the playoffs last year.
I know. I don't know how
How'd
they
that
did it.
happen?
I don't know how they did it. But
Mhm.
it's smoke and mirrors. They're gonna fall down this year.
All
They
right.
will
Well, I'll
fall.
get into them in just a second.
Smoke and
Moving
mirrors.
on, the number 6 team on my power rankings in the Pacific Division, the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks will occupy the 6th spot, and here's why. I think the young kids are going to bring a lot of enthusiasm. The Troy Terrys, the what is it? Sam Steele? Is
Yep.
he the other guy?
And Max
What about the
Comtois.
Quebecer who was on the World Junior team the past year, who got bullied on social media? What was his name?
Maxime Comtois.
There we go. So those 3 guys, they're gonna bring an added dimension. Obviously, you have the coach coming from the San Diego Gulls in the goals in the AHL as well. The former coach of the of the Marlies. So, he's going to bring some youthful exuberance. So will the players. They should have some more fight in their offense. They probably will score a little more than last year. But with that said, I still think this will be a lower scoring team in the NHL. I mean, a bottom 10. I don't get too excited from still having guys like Ryan Getzlaf on their roster. The only guys who look like they have promise, who can put the puck in the back of the net and really drive offense, are Ricard Raquel and Andre Casse. Other than that, there's not much else here to be excited about. And on the back end, I mean, Cam Fowler, I think, is a very overrated defenseman. I like Josh Manson. I like the tenacity, the size he brings. Hampus Lindholm is one of the more underrated defensemen in the league, but again, not enough depth on the back end. I can only count those 2, and up front, I only counted those 2 along with those kids I mentioned. So just not enough depth here. I don't care if you have arguably the best goalie in the league, which I really think he is. If you watch John Gibson often, he really does do a lot for his team and suppressing goals against. But the goalie can only do so much. We've seen that in the past with, even Carey Price. So I all that said, I don't see this team in the playoffs. I could see them fighting and doing better than last year, but still not good enough to go past the 6th slot in my Pacific rankings.
I have Anaheim here as well. Like you said, I think they're going to be much improved. I think for me, this is a team with an intense level of intrigue. And it's exactly what you said there. The young talent is so darn interesting for this group, particularly like you said, Sam Steele, Max Comtois, and Troy Terry. It makes the center depth quite intriguing. You've got Getzlaf, Adam Henrique, and then that Sam Steele, whether he's second or third line. And then we already saw last year that Comtois can really play. Like he showed in the NHL that he was probably almost ready for a job at that point. He tore up juniors. Obviously, we saw what happened at the World Juniors. That's a different story. But yeah, he looks like he could be a really good. I almost want to say fantasy asset. Like if this guy gets top 6 minutes, if he sneaks onto one of these power plays, and I he's a bruiser, he can really lay the body. this guy could turn into a pretty good all-around player in like deep banger leagues kind of thing. Um, but this is sprinkling these young guys in. It's a team I can really kind of get behind and start to really watch. I haven't been interested in Anaheim for years and years and years, but they're starting to turn into this exciting group. And I know Getzlaf, he's a huge Band-Aid player. You know he's going to get injured, but I think when he is healthy, I think he can still have a little bit of star power. Look for him to be kind of that, when he's healthy, 70-ish point player, not a lot of goals, just purely assist. But I think he can still put up some decent production. And obviously mentor these young niblets. And obviously you got Gibson, one of the best goalies in the league, in front of a defense I don't really care for. And then the result is a team, like you said, they'll put up more fight than a lot of people will think. But it's just not the year. But really big things in line for them, and I'm super excited to follow them this year.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that coach, we've heard he's tough on players. He was certainly tough on players in his time with the Marlies. So I don't think, it's just going to be some country club there in Orange County, California. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to push these players hard. He's going to cultivate a work ethic for the kids, and they'll fight. But again, not good enough to make the playoffs in this division.
No.
Moving on, my fifth seed in the Pacific Division, the Arizona Coyotes. Speaking of fight, competing in games, this is a team that will do that. They just missed the playoffs by a few points last year, literally went down to the last few games. With the addition of Kessel, you haven't really gotten any worse. And so I see their success as being, fairly sustainable. The goalies, they kind of played out of their minds, between Kemper and Ronta last year, especially Kemper. Ronta, of course, had some injuries, but with the two of them splitting starts, I think the goaltending will be solid, as you said. I think that's one of their strengths. Guys like Jacob Chitrin on the back end are only developing and getting better. Nicholas Hjalmarsson continues to be a stopper on that back end. So again, you got some pieces on the back end I like, and then up front, your Schmaltz, who you acquired from Chicago, he's only going to grow. He did well after the acquisition last year, worked out for them. Derek Stepan will only be a stabilizing force, insulating your lineup, good 2A centerman. Clayton Keller should learn from Phil. They'll be both putting the puck behind the net. To me, the team didn't get any worse, and that's as simple as it gets. If you didn't get any worse, and last year wasn't a fluke, which I really don't think it's a fluke, I think that Rick Tocchet, really brought some energy and some defensive structure to that Arizona team that was missing. And don't forget, he was the coach in Pittsburgh when Phil came over there. He was the assistant coach, and they got a bit of a bromance going. So, he's, Phil's going to be motivated. He's not going to be, just ride off into the sunset just because he's in Arizona. So I actually kind of disagree with your point earlier. He won't be playing with two Hall of Famers, but he'll still be producing at a pretty good clip, as we've become accustomed to seeing Phil do. So, I'm a little higher on this team than you are. I think they're a lot better than people say they are. And I could see them fighting for a playoff spot and finishing just on the bubble come the end of the season.
Boy, that's sad for the rest of the West. Then they must be all terrible. This team is going to be.
Well, it's the worst division in hockey, Kyle.
Oh, it's bad.
It's the worst division in hockey. I mean, that's why fantasy. I picked up Riddick, I picked up Jones, and I'm going to get all these games against these schlubby teams.
Yeah,
it's all strategy.
We'll see. So my number 5 here is the Edmonton Oilers. Here's what I don't like. I do not like the summer that Connor McDavid has had. No one wants to be rehabbing a knee injury all summer. You can't imagine that he gained any more skill, any more speed. In fact, look for him to be a little bit slow out of the gates this start of the season. I don't like how Nugent Hopkins is insulated back there on the second line. Obviously, they are struggling for forward depth. They always have been. They've added a couple interesting pieces like Neil, and this guy Nygaard is not too bad. The goalies, I don't like the goalies. I don't like Mike Smith one bit. I think he's going to be the backup there. I think Mikko Koskinen will be end up, getting the majority of the starts, but still, I don't love that situation. The defensive depth, I don't really like either, to be honest. But here's what I do like: Lucic for Neal trade, upgrade. Getting Chris Russell back for the like permanently without injury, that's an upgrade. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl will be the NHL's most dynamic duo. That's a good thing. I like Cassian on the flank there. He's going to act as sort of a Zach Hyman of sorts. That's a perfect first line. Nugent Hopkins had a career year last year. That's awesome. They add Riley Shahan as a depth piece. I think that was a wise move. And you know what? It's great about these guys. This is not much about this team this year, but they're finally taking their time with their young children. They send Evan Bouchard back to the AHL, where he probably could have been on this team 100%. So they're finally showing some smarts up top in the management circle there. But why I have them up ahead of Anaheim, Arizona, and LA is simply the star power. Like, I'm not going to allow. I'm not going to put my roster of McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent Hopkins up against a bunch of schmucks from Arizona. I don't care how scrappy they are and how much they want to win. I'm not like it. It just, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do that when looking at it on paper, and that's why I have Edmonton slightly ahead of Anaheim, and quite a fair bit ahead of Arizona. That's number 5 for me there.
Well, I'm glad you're not wearing the rose colored glasses on this take, because I know you've been in that boat before with this team.
Yeah,
and it's upsetting.
I always overshoot them, don't I?
They do. I mean, I know they had the one miracle year where they got into the playoffs. They beat San Jose in that first round, but ever since then, it's just been downhill. And to be honest, I think there is a bit of an LA syndrome here. I think this team, with the exception of Connor, would be content on just getting another high pick in the draft.
And I'd like that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them to finish here. I think if they bottom out one more time, I think that's a really good thing for them. But I don't know. I don't see it happening. There's too many people in this organization that need to see a push here. And we'll see what happens. But I want them to bottom out because, let's be honest, they're not going far. So
yeah. Agreed.
Could you imagine? Imagine they get number 1 overall and get laughed beside? Oh my god! Oh my god!
Joke. What a joke that would be.
What the hell would that
could
be?
happen with the lottery and the baloney that's going on there with New Jersey winning this past year? Could happen.
God. Yeah. Fucking
absolutely.
Christ. That would set the league on fire. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Boy, could they use that. But yeah. Anyways, that does it for the first 4. Same 4 teams, albeit in a bit of a different order, but we stroll along here to number 4 in the Pacific Division.
Yeah.
The Vancouver Canucks. I have Vancouver here. They made a lot of additions over the offseason, one of the most active off seasons of this past summer, if I may say so myself. I mean, you add JT Miller. That was a very tumultuous trade. Lots of criticism there. Of course, they gave up a conditional first-round pick for him. So, quite the king's ransom for a JT Miller, if you ask me. I mean, that might turn into a first-round pick, and with the strength of this coming draft, who knows what comes after that. So, he's going to be on that top line. He's going to help out their power play by the sounds of it. You traded for Tyler Myers on the back end. He's going to be a guy who, we'll see how he slots in, because as much as people may like him and his size, he was playing very sheltered minutes in Winnipeg. It was Bufflin taking on the big assignments and Morrissey the big assignments and Trouba. Myers was kind of, sheltered. And we're going to see if he can be a 1-2 defenseman, which is what they're asking him to do here in Vancouver. So I, for one, am skeptical in that respect. Of course, you're going to have Quinn Hughes breaking in on the back end. That should be great for the fans there to get to watch him each and every night. One of the more, talented young defensemen to break into the league, along with young Cale Makar, who we'll get into later. So Quinn will be fighting with Alex Elder for top power play minutes. That's why I'm a little skeptical on that front as far as owning him. Edler's always been that guy on that top unit. I don't know if they give the keys to the power play to Quinn right away. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, the back end is much improved. Jordy Ben coming over from Montreal, a fan favorite of yours, Kyle.
Love
So
him.
there's pieces. There's pieces on this back end that I'm encouraged about. Unlike those other teams we were getting into, where I could only pluck out one or two. There's about 4 defensemen here who I'm pretty high on, and of course, JT Miller's only going to help regardless how much you paid. Michael Furland is only going to help regardless how much you paid. It was very active. Once again, a very active offseason for Jim Benning, which a lot of fans there may not like, but regardless, he has made your team objectively better on paper, and I think it will result in a stronger push and a very good shot at making the playoffs.
This is a fantastic team. I have them here as well. Man, what a great time to be a Canucks fan. My God, like you mentioned all the names. It's shaping up so well. You've got two of the marquee young talents in both forward and defense, in Pettersson and Hughes. How could you? This is much must-watch hockey. This is fantastic for Vancouver. I love the Myers ad. 2 capable goaltenders. I don't exactly know who's going to come out as the starter by the end of the season. I know that Thatcher Demko has been waiting in the wings for quite a while. So those guys are awesome. Miller, obviously they paid pretty handsomely, but it felt like one of those moves where they wanted to insulate the kids with a bit of some veteran knowledge there. So I don't mind that from that perspective. I do think that you want to guide the ship with some of these kinds of guys. I don't think I have them in the playoffs just yet, but we'll get to that. But I think they're going to be super close and a must-watch team for sure. And look at the center depth developing here. Pettersson, Horvat. Horvat is probably going to be your next captain very shortly. If not, I don't know, maybe they've already named it. I don't think so, but yeah, this team's awesome. And I think that they're going to be super close. And man, they could surprise for sure with the depth that they're developing. So don't be surprised if they start sniffing on San Jose's heels a little bit. So I'm excited for that.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't get into that you mentioned, the goaltending is solid. I mean, Markstrom and Demko, that is one of the better tandems in the league. If you ask me, Markstrom started over 60 games last year, put up very respectable numbers for a Schmet team. So between those two, the goaltending looks good. The D looks improved. The offense looks improved. You got 3 check marks. You're going to compete for a playoff spot.
This team's going to be one of the most exciting 3-on-3 teams out there. Mark it right now. Good. Besser, Pettersson, and Hughes. We've already seen it last year. That's going to be fucking... I'm gonna buy like a video recorder, like a cable recorder, and try to get that every single time they play. It's going to be unbelievable. So... Let's buckle up and get ready for this team. By the way, I think Pettersson could cement himself as one of the league's best this year, like 90 plus kind of season. If Besser stays healthy, for sure. Yeah,
but again, big picture. I don't want to go too much into this because we're here to predict this season and that's it. Yeah. I don't know if that JT Miller move was worth it. I really don't. That's a high pick you're giving up. Especially if you miss, which I have them missing the playoffs here. Yeah. And Tyler Myers, was he worth that contract? They gave him a lot of money. So I don't know if this Jim Benning looks like a guy who's on his last year of his contract and he's just throwing out money to save his job. So that ultimately is very toxic, a situation to have. And I hope this team doesn't spiral into that deep dark hole that we've seen other teams go to before.
Moving on to 3.
But moving on, I get that out of the way. The 3rd seed in the Pacific Division. Do you know the way to San Jose?
Yes! You're sensible!
The Bermuda Triangle, they call it San Jose, because you send these players, they sign there, and then you never see them again because they stay in San Jose. They never leave. It's like an island. They're trapped and they never leave.
Yeah.
They like it so much there. Why wouldn't you want to play for San Jose? Anyways.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, they're going to just make it, which is all you need. in today's day and age. You just got to get into the dance, see what happens after that. Um, and it's going to come on it's going to come with a team that's going to play very sound defensively. They're going to play, offensively. They're going to do just fine without Joe Pavelski. I will admit it's probably the biggest loss of the offseason. It's the most glaring loss when you look at every team and who they're missing and who they couldn't replace. It's Joe Pavelski. It was a very quiet offseason. They didn't acquire anybody.
No.
They re-signed Timo Meier. That's about all that Dougie Wilson did there as the GM of the team. He didn't address the goaltending, which had the league worst save percentage. We got into that a lot last season before the playoffs. He didn't do shit to improve in that respect, not even replacing the young Aaron Dell. So it seemed like he kind of just put his feet up and is betting on his team to regroup here, especially the goaltenders, because I look it up front and I see it. I see tandems. Timo Meier, Logan Couture, sign me up. Thomas Hertl and Evander Kane, sign me up. Joe Thornton and Marcus Sorensen, sign me up. You're still going to have some character guys there, and Barclay Goodrow, and I'm optimistic about up front. And on the back end, we're not going to kid ourselves here. This is the best back end in hockey.
No,
you got the two best fantasy defensemen in the league on your team. 75% of the game, either Carlson or Burns are going to be on the ice, pushing the offense, pressing play up the ice, not having the puck in their zone. I watched their preseason game the other night. Carlson looks vintage Carlson. He looks the healthiest I've seen in a very long time, which is great news for Shark fans. So, he'll be playing with Brendan Dillon. That was among the best pairings in all of hockey last year, analytically speaking. Vlasic, he'll be on his own line, which by the looks of it looks like he's going to be with the young Mario Ferraro, who you're very, aware of. He was Cale Makar's partner last year in UMass Amherst. So he's a top pairing guy, a young prospect who they've been very excited about, who's had a great camp this year. And the other pairing is going to be Brett Burns and Radim Simek, who was a great tandem last year. Simek and Burns played great because one guy's more offensive, the other guy's more defensive. It's three great defensive pairings to complement, the offense I already spoke about. And then, of course, the one glaring hole is the goaltending. Can Martin Jones improve upon his .896 save percentage? He had an .896 save percentage, and he started over 60 games, and they didn't address it. The GM's betting on him to just regroup and get his shit together. And I'm with him on that bet. I drafted him in fantasy. I'm betting on the team in front of him. And the San Jose Sharks will make the playoffs yet again.
Boy, oh boy. When I listen to you in this team, you sound like such a fan when you're going off on this crap that you're talking about.
I do, right?
This San Jose Sharks team is in many ways the biggest losers of the offseason. They of all teams,
very true.
They got worse the most. And from a team I wasn't even high on in the beginning of last year, you lose your heart and soul captain. How do you replace that kind of talent, that kind of character? You don't. You've got Logan Couture.
Logan Couture is the heart and soul captain.
Give me a sec. He's easily the only guy.
Logan Couture lost his chiclets and returned to the game in the playoffs.
He's easily the only guy with redeeming qualities on this team.
And then he got hit in the crown jewels the next game and still came back.
I know. I like Logan Couture. Don't get me wrong. He's the only reason this team will stay afloat this year. I think, and then so you lose your heart and soul. You've got Burns not getting any younger, Carlson not getting any younger, broken, toast. You said he looks good, but it's preseason. We don't know. That could mean nothing. How long does he last through the year? Who knows? And then they've just got so many no names on this team. I can barely consider myself a hockey fan looking at these names because I just feel like I don't watch the sport. So that's not good.
Come on, the milkman, Melker Carlson.
Yeah, I don't like that guy. Yeah, I don't like him. Joe Thornton, how the hell is this guy still playing?
Money in the bank, Kevin LeBanc. Come on.
He's not a first line player.
But he's money in the bank.
How the hell is Joe Thornton still playing in this league?
Joe Thornton had a great year last year.
He is it.
Joe Thornton was great.
He's father time. I don't know how long he's gonna last. This team is like one injury away from just imploding on themselves and picking Quinton Byfield 3 overall.
Wow.
I think, and here's a hot take for you: if they were in any other division, no chance at playoffs. No chance at playoffs. And I think, and playoff run last year, yeah, that was all the referee and luck. So put it aside. Don't be surprised if Vancouver kicks these guys out to the curb and doesn't even say sorry about it. Sorry to the veterans there.
So you're not surprised if they miss?
No, I think I could easily see the young speedsters in Vancouver turntabling Joe Thornton 6 times a game and making Logan Couture want out of San Jose.
Wow. Why did Erik Karlsson resign?
Because he's comfortable. His wife likes the weather. That's why. Don't you dare sign anywhere else. Like, what the fuck?
But you don't think he's gonna have a good year?
I think he'll have
you can't say this is the best defenseman in hockey. You can't just write them off.
No, he's not. He's not the best.
He's
anymore.
a prodigy.
He's not the best.
He's been the prodigy defenseman in the NHL.
I know, but the decade is over. The decade is done.
He still looks elite out there.
The book is closed. His time is finished.
So why'd they sign him?
The sand has reached the bottom of the glass.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I'm sure he'll have like a 65 plus point year, but I don't know. It's not going to be worth much at the end of the day. I think Jones was a bad bet. I really do. I think that obviously, like you said, Burns can't defend for horse shit.
He's gotten better. He's gotten better. He showed me a lot in the playoffs. He showed me a lot in the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, that's fine for you to just change your mind.
Don't forget, key addition on the coaching staff, Bobby Boughner, brought over from Florida. He's going to be back at his defensive role as the assistant coach with this team. He was there 2 years ago. He is going to make things easier for Martin Jones and Aaron Dell. Mark my words.
Whatever.
The scoring chances against will be cut down dramatically.
Yeah. You sound desperate here.
I'm not desperate. I'm just proving my case to you ignorant people like you.
Okay, let's move on. We're getting up there. Number 2.
Second seed. Calgary Flames.
Wow.
Did they really add much in the offseason? Not really. They're coming back with the same team. And to me, this team was the weirdest team last year. They had the amazing regular season, blew everyone out of the way, over 100 points. Not even I saw them doing that well. And then they got ousted in the first round like it was nothing in 5 games to your beloved Colorado Avalanche.
Not surprised.
It was the weirdest year ever. There was so much optimism and so much excitement, and then their season just tragically ended like nothing. It was just very odd the way it all ended. And I think because of that, they're going to come back with some fire this year, despite not making any additions. I mean, you still have the elite back end. Giordano, Brody, Hanifin, Hamonic. I mean, that's a great top 4, one of the best in the league, if you ask me. Part of the reason why I was happy to draft David Riddick, who, while I don't think is a above-average goaltender in the league, again, playing to my philosophy of betting on the team in front of the goalie, I think he's a good fantasy asset in that respect. So they'll insulate him and Cammie Talbot. They'll make them look good. And then up front, I mean, Goudreau and Monahan will continue being Goudreau and Monahan. Matthew Tkachuk will continue being the most irritable pest on the entire roster. Guys like Sam Bennett are still going to give it their all each and every shift on a third line. Milan Lucic, we'll see how he settles in. I for one, think his career is donezo, but, who knows? Maybe he finds spark playing for a competitive team for once. That's all I'm going to get into on Calgary. They're just solid, and they will be back in the playoffs.
Yeah, I got them here too. Not much to add there. Something about putting them at number 2 feels undeserved. This is a team I would have loved to knock down a notch from this spot, but I just couldn't because of what the kind of crap that was below them. It's a wonderful top line. Wonderful. You saw the emergence of Elias Lindholm last year. We'll see if that can continue, but it looked pretty sustainable. Solid forward depth, great D overall. Kachuk, there is a highlight for me. Just behind Gaudreau, I think he's the second most valuable forward, ahead of Sean Monahan, just because of all the intangibles that he brings. Third most valuable player on the team overall. Obviously, Giordano is a very important cog in the system there as well. In terms of their goaltending, I think this is where they fall apart. One of the weaker tandems in the entire NHL. You have one guy who's unproven and one guy who is a proven loser. So, I mean,
Ouch.
that's bad. That's very bad. How could you bet on that? Let's not get into it. But we know, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they could either A, split starts, or B, Riddick gets no more than 50. No way is he getting more than 50 starts. And I don't even think like
He
he's
got his
gonna.
fair share last year. He got a fair shake.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're gonna put Talbot in a fair amount. That veteran leadership. But yeah, not much to add here. They'll putter along in this season and take advantage of this weak division. They'll toy with their opponents in this division, and then in the playoffs they'll get smacked around again. And I'm not even gonna. If they're playing my favorite team, I'm not gonna watch. So that's it for Calgary for me. They're not interesting, not at all.
Well, you're going to have to watch. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they will be opening the season in Colorado Thursday night
Okay.
as a revenge match. They'll get their first stab at the team that eliminated them last year. So there you go.
They're gonna get mooked.
We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, I can't
David
wait.
Riddick. David
can't
Riddick's
wait.
debut on my fantasy team
No, they'll
in
start Talbot.
Colorado.
They'll
Wouldn't that be
start
something?
Talbot. I know it.
Yeah. Moving on, number one team, Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Arguably the best team in the league, if you ask me. I think Mark Stone adds so much. I still don't think people talk about it enough, how much he adds to a team. His try-hard attitude is infectious. It rolls through the whole line. If he's trying hard, it makes the whole team try hard. And you just see it on his face. He just wears it all the time. He's going to run their power play. He added a lot to their team in the playoffs, clearly helped them in that San Jose series. It looks like he's going to be with Stadzy and Pacioretty. That'll help Pacioretty, give him some spark in Curry out there. And the Marchessault Carlson Smith will be great. So it's two amazing two top lines. Alex Tuck, and then of course you have the big bully, the biggest bullies of the bunch, the biggest schmuck fourth line. Carrier, Reeves, and Nosek will be on that fourth line there. So I love the way the forwards are built. The D, of course, takes a step back, losing Colin Miller to Buffalo. But you're still going to have, Nate Schmidt, who did so much for them when he came back from his suspension last year. You could tell. Shea Theodore will be taking a lead spot on that top power play. He continues to grow into being one of the more better offensive defensemen in the league. Brady McNabb, he'll be Brady McNabb. Derek Englund, he'll be Derek Englund. They'll be just fine on the back end. Nothing to worry about. And of course, Marc-Andre Fleury in the crease, as long as he stays healthy, remains one of the best goalies in the entire league.
Vegas Golden Knights. Grit, character, soul. This team has some of the most important characters in the league. Mark Stone is a well-known leader, well-known great guy. Marc-Andre Fleury is by far the brightest, most colorful goaltender in the league. And Ryan Reeves, like this team it's got everything. I'm not sure I'm sold on the defense. Like with the loss of what did you say? Who'd they lose again to Buffalo?
Colin Miller.
So Buffalo takes Colin Miller. I'm not sure I love the D. I'm sure that's something they'll address in the trade deadline, but I think they're going to skip along in the regular season regardless. And I think Shea Theodore will evolve into a 50-point defenseman this year. And then, not much else to add. It's a great character squad, and I think the top six is amongst the best in the league overall, balance wise. Pacioretty will find a nice home there, and let's move right on to the Central because that just about does it for the Pacific there.
Okay. Um,
Boy, this is a
yeah,
loaded division. I think this is a very good division.
it's the best division in hockey all around. I mean, you can make the argument the worst team in this division is a top 20 team in the league. So none of these teams are in the bottom 10, which I don't
Oh
think you
yeah,
can say about any other division,
yeah,
which is pretty amazing. I
yeah,
think the top end of the Atlantic is still the best teams in hockey, but I
yeah.
think all in all, these seven are the most well-built all-around teams. But it was tough. These rankings were very tough, but I'll move on nonetheless here.
Yeah.
My number seven ranked team, and this may surprise some,
Oh boy.
the Chicago Blackhawks
You can't
are the
do
seventh
that.
ranked best team and the last place team, and they're not a bad team. They just happen to be last here because how strong this division is.
That's a
And
homer pick.
to me, I put them last because they seem the most spotty on defense. They really have not improved in any respect there. You're still relying on an aging Duncan Keith to lead your team. We saw when the young Jeremy Colleton came in there. I mean, they just gave up goals like a flurry. No goaltending could help them. And I'm not high on this defense in the slightest. I think they're going to be a fun run and gun offensive team the whole year, with Kane and Taves obviously leading the way, and the Alex DeBrincat, who's grown into his role as a 40-goal scorer, will lead his line along with Dylan Strome. But the goaltending will only do so much. I know Robin Leonard was great last year, but I think his numbers are going to plummet. Mark my words, one of the biggest fantasy busts will be Robin Leonard this
Holy
year.
shit.
Do not invest in this tandem.
Holy shit.
You will pay investing in this
Oh,
tandem.
wow.
So, I'm not a big fan of this team. Eric Gustafson, we'll see if he can repeat upon his breakout last year. I acquired him as a free agent pickup. Worked out for me, but I don't know if he'll be able to repeat that this year. He put up a bunch of points last year, over 50, if I remember correctly. So,
Crazy.
yeah. So there's
Out of
potential here,
nowhere.
and the kids are coming. They're slowly building up their system, and that will help, insulate Kane and Taves as they age. The youngest being Alex Nylander, who looks like he's going to break into the lineup day one. But other than that, I mean, that's why I have them last. To me, the defense looks too spotty when you got, Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith still is your 1-2 punch.
Ooh, okay. Okay, I see. Now, I'm sure you looked up and down the roster and you felt bad putting them in last place. Did you not?
No, I didn't, because this division is excellent, Kyle. It's excellent.
No, I know, but they shouldn't. It's not a last place roster.
It's
in
not. I just
in a
said
division.
they're not going to be a bottom 10 team in the league
No.
when all is said and done.
Exactly.
Every one of these teams is going to be 19th best or better.
And that's exactly how I felt with my last place team. I didn't like doing this because I don't mind the roster, but it's the Minnesota Wild. And I know you won't like this because it's another one of your goalies I'm about to bag on. There's a theme. There's a theme. So it's a strong division, and I don't think they'd be last in any other division, not by a long shot. I think it's a pretty great defense, especially getting Dumba back. I think that'll be huge for them. Ryan Suter is older, slower. He's starting to lose a step a little bit, but he can still be very effective. I like Spurgeon as a top four defender as well, and Brodin is no slouch either. The goalie, I see Dubnyk as a slightly below average goaltender in a not terrible situation there. And the forwards I don't really like. That's where things fall apart for me. I don't think they're going to be scoring a lot of goals. I don't think they're going to be letting in too many goals here. A lot of losing games by a close margin for me here. Their forwards aren't great. They're really old. They lack speed. Their GM just seems to be fixed on this mindset of big and strong, and so they've moved guys out like Mikael Granlund.
Well,
That
he's the new GM. They brought in the new GM, right?
Oh, a new guy, eh? Well,
They fired the Fenton and they brought in another guy.
so they made a big mistake. They made a big
What do you
mistake.
mean?
This team is not headed in the right direction whatsoever.
All right, I'll get into them when I get it.
Not whatsoever. And I think they're just going to get outpaced, especially but playing in this division. This team, why I have them at the bottom, is that they're going to get outskated up front. They won't be able to keep up, and they won't be able to attack other teams with speed and with poise and tact. I know they've got a lot of veterans, but they're all pretty darn old veterans. So that's why I have them. And I don't like having them at the back. Trust me, I don't mind this roster whatsoever. But I was too in love with Chicago when I looked at their stuff. So I got Minnesota last.
Okay. Moving on. And I'll let the hate keep rolling on as I continue through my list here. This division. Missing the playoffs. The Winnipeg Jets.
No, you can't do that.
I got Winnipeg at 6.
No,
And here's why.
you can't.
They've gone into total disarray. What has happened? I seemingly went to bed, woke up the following morning, and this stout defense core, which so much of that offense coming from this amazing elite back end, is gone.
Sliced.
Neil Pionk is a top 2 defenseman. How does that happen? A fringe defenseman on the Rangers, one of the worst team in the league, is now being asked to be a top 2 defender on this Winnipeg team. It boggles my mind. Nathan Beaulieu, who was a scratch in Montreal, a beating boy, who the fan base just beat up on there, will be leading a top 4 defense. Sammy Niku, who's he? Tucker Poolman, who's he?
Oh,
Kulikov continues to be one of the worst defensemen in the league, analytically speaking, from what I read. This is bad. You lose Trouba. You lose, Bufflin, who looks like he's gone. You lose Myers. You lose Sherratt.
Oh.
What the hell happened?
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say. I don't even want to talk about this team anymore. What the hell happened?
Wow. Yeah, maybe I changed my mind. San Jose, the biggest losers to Winnipeg. I forgot.
There you go. You stand corrected.
Okay. I'll get into them as well in just a sec. We're on 6, right?
Yes, sir.
6, I have Chicago Blackhawks. I think this team it feels much improved from last year. I really do love their top 6. Needless to say, Dylan Strome has cemented himself as a trusty number 2. When he came over from Arizona, he put up about a point per game. Now having Taves and Strome is a fantastic 1-2 center punch. DeBrincat, legit 40-goal guy. He's there to stay. I think he can repeat that kind of performance. Andrew Shaw comes in to bring that little sandpaper energy. Every team needs a little bit of grit, a little bit of, I can do everything, work in the corners, that kind of thing. I love that ad for them. I loved him in Montreal. And of course he's been there before. He knows the guys. I think this is a great move for them. Defense is definitely a weaker point, but I do like the addition of Oli Mata. Followed him closely in Pittsburgh, a highly touted guy, never quite lived up to his potential. But a solid guy, top 4 for sure. I don't mind you putting him as a top 4. Now, if you add, I think Duncan Keith is still serviceable. Can't say the same for Brent Seabrook. But if you've got Gustafsson, Keith, and Mata, I don't think you're all too bad. It's not great, but it's not horrible. And then you have Calvin DeHaan as a depth defender, not too bad. And then you've got Adam Boqvist, who's on the way. He's not going to be ready quite yet. He's going to be in the AHL this year, but this is a guy who can legitimately take over that top power play in the very near future. So that's great. He'll be cooking up. And obviously we saw Gustafsson break out last year. I don't know where the hell this guy came from. I had never even heard his name. I just saw him scrolling through fantasy. I was on the draft mock, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? How the hell did he get all those points? So that's a good guy to have. He can move the puck. That's pretty clear. And while this tandem is a little bit eerie to my friend Nick over here, I think we can all agree that this is a far better goalie tandem than we saw last year. Obviously, Crawford's got some injury concerns, but I think Crawford's a really good goalie. And then when he does get injured, inevitably, which he probably will, then you have Leonard, who proved that he's a decent guy who can just kind of clean things up. And if they want to split 50-50, split them 50-50. I don't think they're going to put up, 920s or anything, but it's going to be cleaner than last year. I can tell you that for free. So I think that overall, this team looks just a lot more positive than last year. I don't think they're going to be a defensive mess like they were in the previous season.
All right, well, we'll see who's right in that respect, but we can both agree they're not a playoff team. It's a tough division, as we got into. So, moving on. The 5th seed, ahead of Winnipeg and Chicago, the Minnesota Wild. I have as my 5th seed, and here's my biggest take of the whole show, and it's two-pronged. Two things to get into, and these are both from The Athletic, so bear with me here.
I'll try.
Michael Russo, the esteemed beat writer of the Minnesota Wild, he put out a great piece around the middle of August. It kind of got lost in the summer news highlights. It was inside the locker room, kind of a deep dive into what went on last year with this GM, this Paul Fenton, and his slow, gradual demise and fall from grace. And it was a great article that basically it was unfiltered. It went into everything that happened last year and why this team ultimately didn't make the playoffs. I'll just share some little details with you, Kyle. He would do things like in the middle of the season for 3 weeks, he straight up went off to Florida, his home in Florida, and just chilled there for 3 weeks. This is the GM of the Wild. He hired his son as their chief amateur scout, who had no resume whatsoever.
Yeah.
Would seat him, like when he saw the way the seats were assigned at the draft table, he rearranged them secretly so his son would sit farther away from the owner, who they didn't get along. Like little things like this. He hijacked the airplane on a team flight back. When it was released when it was leaked that they had made a trade, which he didn't want to get leaked that early, he hijacked the plane and started interrogating people, demanding to know who made the leaks. Like, this was toxic. This was like harassment in the workplace, by the sounds of it, and it ultimately costed his job. And the first prong of my theory of why I think they're the 5th seed here is with this toxicity out of the organization, they will finally be able to take their problems off the ice and throw them out the trash and just worry about their performance on the ice. And the next part of my theory is with respect to their play on the ice, and this comes from Dom Lucic, who's been doing these great previews on The Athletic. He says, this is an elite defensive team, one that deserves more breaks than it got last season. While Minnesota has plenty of holes, specifically on offense, that limits the team's upside, the Wild should be in the thick of the playoff race this season. That is, unless they're undone by goaltending once again.
Ooh.
In Minnesota, that sword is double-edged, as its insistence on winning low-scoring games is undermined by a goaltender prone to allow goals at an average goalie would not.
Ooh.
He mitigates much of the effect that the exceptional defense musters and is the biggest reason their last year's best expected goals against ranked 11th in actual goals against. If you squint hard enough, you can see a team that can surprise. Defense is an underappreciated commodity, and no one does it better than the Wild. If the offense is even fine, the Wild should be in a good position. Now, if you squint even harder and see a puck fly past Dubnyk that had no business doing so, goaltending remains the team's biggest problem, and until that problem is addressed, the Wild are stuck here in no man's land. Last year was likely the team's floor. While much of this preview was laced with optimism, that was mostly due to the contrary opinion surrounding this team. Needless to say, he basically went on about how this is, the best defensive team in hockey. which if you look at advanced analytics, they are. When you look at their scoring chances against, high danger scoring chances against, this is an elite defensive team that is built to win 2-1, 3-2 games, something I adore.
God.
And let's face it, this team faced a lot of tough injuries last year. Matt Dumba on the back end, who's one of your elite offensive producers. He's going to be back and healthy. That'll help them. Mika Koivu, who players have gone on the record and said he's the biggest, bitch to play against with his defensive, pedigree as a checking forward. So I think having them healthy for the whole season will really help them. I really like the youth movement that's been going on there. I think Ryan Donato was really good when he was acquired. He really slotted in well there and performed, and I'm curious to see what he'll do over an 82 game span. Of course, power forwards like Jordan Greenway are only getting better and building their arsenal. So I'm encouraged by factors like that. Kevin Fiala, he'll have a whole year under his belt to prove himself in that much disputed trade with Nashville that sent him over to Minnesota in exchange for Granlund. And of course, you signed Matt Zuccarello, who only helped Dallas last year. So I think he's only going to help Minnesota. Again, like, he's going to a team that's offensively challenged. He seemed to invigorate that Dallas team and insert right into their top six very well. I think he's going to be just fine. So yeah, I mean, like Dom says here, another quote: if Dumba returns from a ghastly injury and turns into a 25 or even 30 goal scorer he vows to be, if Dubnyk can provide some consistency in net and eliminate the bad goals or the bad month or two he often seemed to have, the Wild can surprise a lot of naysayers, and Bruce Boudreau and Dom will have the last laugh at this team. So there you go.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Here's my theory.
The fact that your goaltending is built off so many ifs, ands, or buts, is like fun, so gamble. I don't know what. I don't know. It's not fun.
That's my fantasy team. It's built off of bad goalies who play behind elite defensive teams.
That's what we forgot to get into was our draft, which I guess we'll do next episode.
We will get into that next episode. I mean, we only got so much time, but that's my foreshadow. My philosophy is, I'll repeat it once again, I bet on the team and not the goalie. Goalies they're in the NHL. You're a good goalie. You can stop a piece of rubber flying at you, okay? It's the team in front of you that matters to me.
Well, Dom doesn't seem to agree. He seems to think that this one goalie screwed everything up last year.
He does. He thinks if they actually went out and got a good goalie, they'd be elite.
So what if they actually
I'm betting on him turning around his game.
What
Kyle,
if they get a goalie?
Here's another super stat. This is a super stat. Since 2014 or 2016, since he was acquired by the Wild, Dubnyk has started the most games in the entire league. And he's top 10 in goals against, save percentage, and wins.
Well, that's going to change. That has been changing.
Well, he's still the starting goalie. and the backup's not knocking on his door.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I think his days are numbered. His days are numbered. So what are we on here?
5.
Holy shit. Okay, quickly. Winnipeg Jets. The team got sliced. You lose Bufflin, Trouba, Sherratt, Hayes, Myers. That's pretty darn bad. It seems like there's no loyalty for the Winnipeg Jets anymore. Like, it just seems like anytime any player can get their excuse to get out of there, they take it. Their center depth is still the weakness. Brian Little doesn't cut it for me at number 2. The defense is it's a shadow of its former glory. You're looking at Josh Morrissey as the crown jewel back there. Pray to God that he has a career year. Hellebuck is good, but he's hard to read. You don't know what kind of Hellebuck you're getting. He was a Vezina candidate not too long ago. Or did he win the Vezina? One of the two. Doesn't matter. But and then you have this guy, Patrick Laine, entitled prick. And he had those comments right before he signed his contract, and it kind of changed my whole perspective of this guy. So I want to quickly ask you a question on this guy right after, but the reason I have him here is because you just got too much firepower in the top six. I still have a lot of trust in the leadership group of Scheifele and Wheeler, and I think that Kyle Connor's awesome. Ehlers is great. Laine will score you some goals, and that's simply the only reason I have him here. But playoffs, don't think so. Not sure.
Wow.
We'll get to that. But I want to ask you the question, Nick. Was just real quick because we don't have too much time. Did the Patrick Laine comments rub you the wrong way, and do you see this guy in a different light than you did before?
Oh, I never view him in a positive light, character-wise. He seemingly always has bad body language. Is never really, that good with the media. I've never liked him. I got that impression in that very first interview he did when it was him and Matthews going head to head to see who would be the first overall pick in the draft. He just seemed to have this attitude that rubbed me the wrong way. And I was not surprised in the slightest to hear those comments, especially when he was, off that top pairing with, off the triplet line with Kyle Connor, Wheeler, and Scheifele. He wants that Kyle Connor spot on the roster, but I just don't think Paul Maurice is going to give it to him. I think Kyle Connor plays too well with those two, don't you?
I do. Complements them very well. And
yeah,
what
earned him a 7-year, $7 million deal.
Yeah. What a spoiled brat, though. Like, what a piece of shit throwing his teammates under the bus. Like, why don't you take some ownership? And if you don't think you're getting enough, like, how could you blame your success on, obviously if I was playing with the better players, my numbers would be way better. Why don't you take some ownership and fucking try to make the second line into something? Like, what, you can't run a line? Like, what this guy's just, he's such a prick. And it makes me not want to cheer for Winnipeg anymore. And if I were a GM, I wouldn't touch this guy. Honestly, even for a great deal, I don't want this guy on my team. Like, there's talks about him going to Montreal. I would have been a little bit upset. But this guy, he goes against everything we enjoy in a hockey player. So I don't like this guy. So.
Almost makes you like try to think how he gets along with those high character Scheifele and Wheelers,
Oh, yeah, I can't imagine. I can't. I bet
wonder
he just
how they get
doesn't talk
along.
to
I'd love to be a fly on the wall conversations in the breakfast room when they're catching up the morning after a game.
Yeah, and can you please remind me? I want to touch on the Matthews thing at the end because I got a few things to say about that too.
Sure.
Okay, let's move on to the next team.
Okay. We're into the top four in this great division.
Needless to say, these four teams will be guaranteed playoff teams. I think.
Yeah,
that's safe to say.
Yeah, I think so. The fourth seed, the Colorado Avalanche.
You're so fucked, man.
Hey!
No, this is wrong.
That should be enough.
This is wrong.
I'll be honest, as the listeners know, I was a converter last year, took all of 15, 20 games. That's when Pierre Maguire and I jumped aboard the bandwagon and started going for this team. I loved what I saw out of the top line. They were must-watch hockey. Pierre even went out and said he could see them in the Cup final against Tampa. So, the top line is going to continue being the top line here. It's arguably the best line in hockey next to the Pasternak, Bergeron, Marchand line in Boston. And of course you get Nazem Kadri, who will be a better, center than Kerfoot. I mean, he's going to be able to drive a line. I've always believed in Naz. When he's gotten the ice time in Toronto, he's always been an over 60, 65-point guy who can easily score 30 goals. Hopefully he invigorates guys like Tyson Yost who need to show themselves. And Valerie Nikushkin, who's yet to, break out in what many pundits are saying will be a good career. Andrei Burakovsky, from what I hear, was a great acquisition. A lot of people are high on that one. My concern here and why I have him fourth is the back end. Yes, you have Cale Makar, who I've converted to, and I love Cale. Give me some Cale all day, every day. But to me, I don't know. I just feel insecure about him having a top line role at such a young age. Him and Sammy Girard, they're two explosive defensemen who aren't exactly known to be stoppers on the back end. So for your top four to be Makar, Gerard, Zadorov, and Johnson, I don't think that top four compares. I think it, in fact, pales in comparison to St. Louis and Nashville's defense, which are just so stout. So, when you look at it that way, and you look at a goalie who's yet to prove himself over a whole 82 game track record, ultimately that's a team that's fourth place for me.
Wow. There's so many wrong things that you said.
Well,
So
go on.
many. Well, when do you want me to get into it? Now or later?
I just did my take. Oh, okay, fine. Go ahead.
Well, because I have them. I have them much later. Much
All
later.
right, you keep going then. You keep trucking on. Forget what I said.
Okay, number 4. I'm not gonna forget ever what you said.
Ever. You hurt my feelings.
It's ridiculous the takes you have, and I got a lot to say about it. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. Dallas, number 4. I love Dallas. I don't love Dallas. I like their roster. Love the defense. Love the goalies. Could be the best tandem in the NHL. Love the top players. That is Ben, Sagan, Pavelski, Radulov, and company. Still, I don't like the forward depth. That's what had us shitting on this team in the playoff preview, if you remember. Who is Rupert Hintz? That kind of thing. Now, I think Hintz is...
He's great.
Yeah, he's not a bad player. That has settled itself. But the rest of them, there's still some suspect names on that forward depth there. So that's the one weakness for me, and that's what has them fourth out of this big four, so to speak. And I think it's safe to say these are the big four in the Central now. Weird year for Ben last year. Super weird. Such a bad year that he was going later than guys like, Jake Gensel. Guys like this. I mean, Gensel had a great year, but wow. I gotta think Ben's gonna bounce back up to 70 plus. I hear he's been working on his speed, his quickness over the summer in Dallas. Pavelski, wow, you add a lot of character. You add a new level of scoring, like you said. He tips a lot of pucks, and that's good to add that layer. He's gonna be a net front on the power play. That's wonderful. And last point there is Miro the hero, Miro Heiskanen. One of the top young defenders, premier young defenders, future Norris candidate. A little bit buried right now behind Klingberg, but I think you'll notice that he might sneak on to some important power play minutes in the near future. And even if he doesn't, I think this guy is pretty safe at 40 plus points. He's just so darn good. He went ahead of Cale Makar in the draft, and I think Dallas is perfectly fine with that. This guy is a talented guy. So Dallas, this could change, but I have them at 4, and they're pretty good.
The Dallas Stars came within a goal of winning the Stanley Cup last year.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No.
They forced St. Louis into a double overtime in Game 7 and lost off a hometown hero Patty Maroon overtime winner.
Yeah, but they
if
would
they
never
if they score in that overtime, the script is Binnington is no longer a star. St. Louis doesn't have their one playoff championship they've been waiting to have for. Ryan O'Reilly isn't this amazing trophy winner who seemingly wins all these trophies. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
One goal, inches.
Yeah.
There were tons of opportunities. Dallas could have won that game.
It's crazy.
So they're a great team. That's why I have them third, ahead of the Avalanche.
Crazy. That's even crazier.
To me, they didn't win the offseason. That goes to Florida and Rangers, who made more, acquisitions as far as quantity. But if there's one acquisition that defined the offseason, if there was one winning acquisition, it was the Joe Pavelski acquisition. And I'll tell you why. This was a team that basically was predicated on scoring on the top power play and scoring on the top unit, riding the Radulov, Ben Sagan unit, and not really having much else. Like a Jason Dickinson's your second line. He's on your second line. Like basically their mentality was, you guys score all the goals and the other guys will check really hard and just not let any scoring chances, and Big Ben Bishop will just keep us in games. And that was the mentality they had. But now with Pavelski, opens things up dramatically. You can drop one of those guys off the top three down to the second line and form kind of two duos, Pavelski and one of them, like a Pavelski and Ben, and then a Sagan Radulov. Pavelski, of course, will take up that spot in front of the goalie on the top power play, making their power play a lot more potent. I expect that'll be one of the best in the league. Jim Montgomery, he brought a lot of defensive structure to this team last year. They went from being one of the worst defensive teams to being an elite defensive team last year. That can't be talked about more. I as long their defense, it doesn't have too many household names. I know you got Heiskanen and Klingberg and operas like Esa Lindell and Julius Honkas of the world. But the coaching is going to get their defense to be just fine. Pavelski's going to add on their forward depth. And the goaltending is going to be arguably the league's best. I mean, Khudobin has proven to be one of the best backups in the league. I highly recommend you spot start him whenever you get the chance throughout the season. You won't regret it. And this tandem will put up probably the best goals against average yet again in the entire league. So they're sound. They're sound all the way down. They have an expectation to win the cup this year. That's their expectation after the heartbreak of last year. And I think they're going to come third in this division.
Not bad. Not bad. Third, St. Louis Blues.
Ouch.
What do you mean?
You got a goalie on. You got to be biased a little bit. You got the goalie on your team.
No biases here, Nick. No biases here. Zero. So, okay. Not much to say here because they're largely the same team as last year. Now, that says a lot because they won the cup. Not to forget that, but I don't think this team, I don't see them as regular season darlings by any means. I think they're made up of characters that can really perform in the playoffs. I don't see them as, a championship regular season team, if you can catch my drift there. I think they're still fantastic, but not quite the dynamic speed and skill that some of these other teams have. Binnington will emerge as a Vezina candidate this year, 100%.
That's bias. I'm pointing the bias card right now.
Yes, he will.
He's bias my ass.
He's young Binny, and now he's all grown up, and he's got a great defense in front of him, and I think he's now tasted what success is like, and he'll be able to just, as Pierre says, he'll be able to just stop pucks left, right, and center this coming year. So that's great news for guys like me and guys like Nick who likes Binnington. And awesome forward depth, awesome D. Nothing left to say about this team. They're kind of the same team as last year, which is great for them.
The number 2 seed, the Nashville Predators.
Oh my!
They added their country boy, the Matt Duchene, the guitar playing, stringing, fuck boy, Matt Duchene.
Come on.
He's finally found home in Nashville, the worst kept secret in the league. That's where he was headed all this time. And he's gonna help this team a lot because you're not gonna ask a lot of Ryan Johansson, who I think his play has only deteriorated over the last few years. Adds much anymore. He's really reclined. It's a great talking point from his days in Columbus when he was this high-flying centerman. But between Duchene and Johansson, that's a great 1-2. It's good. It's not among the best in the league, but it's serviceable. It's going to be just fine. And then you can always have Turris as your 3, or you can put him on the wing on one of the top 2 pairs. And then, Granlund was a great acquisition. I will admit, as a guy who's rooting for the Wild this year, they lost that deal. And Paul Fenton, he was a fool for making that trade. And I think Granlund's going to thrive there in Nashville, playing alongside Matt Duchene. And, Phil the Thrill, he'll only continue to put up goals. He's been fairly consistent when healthy. I know Kyle's got him on his fantasy team. You got to watch his health because he's had a hard time putting together full seasons the last few years. Victor Arvidsson, the undersized fellow, he can put up pucks in the net at an elite clip. There's just depth all the way down. Line center, Colton Sissons on your third line. The Rocco Grimaldi, who had a great playoffs. He'll be there providing depth scoring. And then on the top 4, I don't think you're going to lose too much losing Subban because you got the young kid Dante Fabro, who's a highly touted prospect in their system. He's going to slot in right there with Matthias Ekholm on the second unit. The super stud Roman Yossi on that top line
Oh,
with Ryan Ellis. Yeah, super stud.
Man Rocket.
Call him whatever you want. He'll be on the top unit alongside Ryan Ellis, and yeah, it's a great team all around. Depth, depth, depth. That's the word to summarize this team. They've done a great job building here. Kudos to their GM and the goaltending. I mean that only shows you depth yet again. Reno should lose some starts as he does every other year. Loses, but UC Saros has shown to be more than capable filling in. And again, one of those guys you just got to pick up when he's spot starting on a given night because he's going to give you great numbers as he does every year. So with Dallas, they'll be one of the better defensive teams in the league. Yeah, very high on this Nashville team. Again, the question will remain, can they do stuff in the playoffs? Because they always have a great regular season. It's in the playoffs, their play always drops. So we'll see what happens this year.
Number 2, Nashville. This team is just so easy to love now. Gone are the days when you had to rely on shitty Kyle Turris as your number 2 center. Like the team was good back then, but as Turris in the number 2 hole, you just weren't going to be a great team. You weren't going to push that barrier. I think Duchesne will do so much for that top 6. You finally inject some pure skill that top 6 really needed. Outside of Philip Forsberg, you got some pretty good skilled guys, but you needed a little bit more to kind of match what the rest of the team was bringing. I think that after the power play struggled a little bit last year, you're going to have a wonderful first unit there with obviously adding Duchesne. You've got a gunner in Philip Forsberg. Yossi will be quarterbacking that without the annoying nuisance PK Subban trying to cut in on those minutes. I think now you can just focus on Roman Yossi being the number 1 guy. I think that's you take away a distraction there. The defense is still sick. Like you said, plug in Fabro, call it a day. You're not going to miss this PK Subban guy too much because this guy can just kind of lessen that blow by quite a lot. Now, will Rene give up a little bit of the throne here? Doesn't really matter because both these guys can get it done. This is a really good tandem. Yossi, we talked about him a lot. He's on a contract year. I expect nothing but pure excellence from this guy. We're talking about potentially career numbers coming up in this season. That's kind of what I'm seeing just based on the talent that they now have in and around that unit. And just looking at what people are saying about how the top power play is performing on preseason and in practice, it looks like they're really getting a system down. They're really getting their marks, and I expect big things from this team. Very big. I think easily this team could lead this division. That's quite fathomable for sure. I just think they're not quite as good as the number 1 guys.
And speaking of those number 1 guys, the St. Louis Blues. Again, I will tap myself on the shoulder. I called it. The Stanley Cup winners last year, my team.
How did you call
that?
it?
Ship has sailed. That storyline is over. I'm moving on. I mean, again, this is the most elite team in the league. They're the defending champs for a reason, and you got to respect them. And that's why you have to put them first place in this division. This team was last place in January. Brought in Craig Berube, and in that short 4-month span, he simply turned around this franchise and got them into the playoff race. And I think under a whole year with Berube, I think that 7 months with this Craig Berube fellow behind the bench, you're going to have that head start. You're not going to have Mike Yeo, dragging this team down to the ground from day one. You're going to have Craig Berube, a motivated Craig Berube, motivating his troops from day one, and they're going to put up an elite record. And you're not going to have Jake Allen being that, weight, that empty weight as well, just fucking bringing them down either. You're going to have Binnington from their day one, a competent goalie. Finally, they have that guy there, and the rest will be history. This team will be elite. I'd bet my life on them making the playoffs. There will be no hangover. The top line, Shen, Tarasenko, Schwartz, one of the best top lines in the league.
No.
Ryan O'Reilly has found a home in St. Louis, won all those awards, has proven to be a top player in the league. The defense, Colton Parayko is the best defenseman in the NHL. He's the
What
best
is wrong with you?
He's the best defensive defenseman in the NHL.
No,
Colton
he's
Parayko,
not.
mark my words. You'll see when you watch this team, Kyle, because you have the privilege of owning young Binnington this year. He is elite. Petrangelo's still there. He's not going anywhere, at least for another year. We'll see what happens this coming offseason, which might be tumultuous if he doesn't re-sign. Vince Dunn will be quarterbacking that power play. He's an elite puck mover. He will be, racing the puck up the zone whenever he's got it. Robert Bortuzzo will be a fighter on the back end. He'll be fighting guys in practice, making sure they're motivated to keep playing. And, of course, Bouwmeester and Gunnarsson round out the best defense in the NHL. Nothing else can be said. It's an elite team, and I'm glad you're going to get to watch them on a more healthy basis this year.
Yeah, that's putting it one way. No, I'm not saying I'm going to watch them. I'm just saying I'm just going to kind of cheer.
You always got to watch. When you own the goalie, you got to watch the team. That's how it works.
It depends on, late in the week I need a win kind of thing. Then maybe I'll watch. But, this is fitting because your team, your favorite team is at number one. My favorite team is at number one on my end here. Of course they are. Of course they are. First, I want to start off by saying Mikko Rantanen, thank you for signing the paper. $9.25 million over 6 years. That's a friendly deal. That's not too bad. Well-deserved money, and he didn't break the bank for the Colorado Avalanche, so that's great. The top line is back in business, and we've got the best NHL line in hockey. Screw Tarasenko, Jordan Schmaltz, and whatever the hell the first guy's name is. Now, with this Colorado Avalanche team, what is not to like? After an amazing offseason, it seems as if they've addressed any potential weakness that they've got. And I know you pointed out a few more, and I'll touch on that. The addition of Nazem Kadri adds some much-needed depth and, most importantly, grit to this top six. Burakovsky adds a little bit of skill as well. Jost is another year older. So all of a sudden, the main knock against this team last year was, oh yeah, they don't have the depth outside of the first line. That has changed in a big hurry, especially if Burakovsky can morph into a guy that a lot of people have been saying for years could be a really talented player. Kadri, obviously, we already know what he's all about. He's a 30-goal guy on his best years and could put up 65 plus points. And it looks to me right now that he's going to get that bumper spot, that net front presence on one of the most lethal power play units. So that guy is a seriously good guy to own right now. And that's a step up from Soderberg or whoever was in that net front before. All of a sudden, again, you've got a wicked fourth line. You add Bellemare to that fourth line, which adds an element that the Colorado Avalanche haven't had in a long time. You've got Calvert, Bellemare, Wilson. All of a sudden, it's a line of tough checking junkyard dogs that can chip in a goal once in a while. Like, that is an unbelievable asset. Don't get me going on the defense. And I'm not even talking about the brand name guys, but you've got Connor Timmins, who was your best defenseman in camp and preseason, who is going to be starting in the AHL, just waiting in the wings. This guy, plug him into the bottom pairing. Plug this guy into the bottom pairing. This guy is a top four defender easily.
Why did he make the team?
Because there's just no room, Nick. Who are you going to kick out?
There's no room because he's not good enough.
No, he's easily could make the bottom pairing, but
why is he not ahead of Calle Rosen?
Why would they want him to play low minutes right now? He's a young player. So they're going to have him play top pairing until, God forbid, something happens injury-wise. But you've got a guy who's a top four NHL defenseman ready to plug right in. And this guy, if you remember correctly, when him and Makar were in the World Juniors, Connor Timmins was the guy earning best defenseman on Team Canada that year. This guy is a legit, unbelievable defenseman, and they don't even have room for him. Calle Rosen, the Avalanche guys, the pundits, have been raving about this guy. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? He's had a shockingly good camp. He's going to be on your bottom pairing. No problems there. And I know you talked about how Makar and Girard aren't necessarily stoppers, but Nick, these two guys are two of the top maybe 5 defensemen in the league, no exaggeration, at moving the puck out of the zone at the most efficient way possible. When I'm watching these games, and by all means put them together, Girard, Makar, the puck literally does not stay in their zone, not for any amount of time more than it absolutely has to. These guys, it's right up the ice. If it's not with a pass, they're so good at skating. I know you saw that Girard spinorama the other day. They're so good at skating, they make room that way, and then either they skate it out or it's on the tape. So I'm not worried about any defensive liabilities there. Sure, they're going to get outworked every so often, just pure strength on strength, but I'm not worried about that. Grubauer is the number 1 goaltender. He proved that late last year. They don't make the playoffs. They do not make the playoffs if Grubauer doesn't put up like a 940 in the last 20 games. This guy was unbelievable. He's been biding his time, paying his dues for freaking years. He's got like a career 920. Unbelievable backup in his career. He's ready. This is a major cup contender. And right now, it's Cale Makar's season, and I cannot wait for this thing to get going. The jersey is ordered. The jersey is shipped just yesterday. And
Wow.
It's the third alternates. So I'm fired up. I'm ready. This team is going all the way.
All the way is it winning the cup?
They are my cup team.
Wow. What an announcement. What, to no one's surprise. The rose-colored glasses are on, and
No. What we have to do is create another bet.
yeah.
After I lost last year's
you
bet.
you review these rankings, these standings, and you make it known, because as the guy with the higher ground here who won the bet last year, I'll let you put forward the bet this year. But hey, I don't mind those points. And again, I don't want to come off as the guy who dislikes this team, because I came across and said I'm the converter. I converted last year, and I do like this team fan base, and I do like the commentary team. I like watching this team. They're fun. And Cale Makar has proven superstar in the league at a young age. I just don't think they're up to snuff with the big boys. The right now, over a regular season span, anything can happen in the playoffs. But over 82, you're not ahead of St. Louis, Nashville, and Dallas. So there you go.
This is the most excited I've been about a team in
Great.
10 years.
That's great.
10 years. Don't even talk about Bowen Byram, who, by the way,
Byram Bowen.
Imagine this scenario. His WHL season ends early. Okay, you got him joining the Colorado Avalanche for the playoffs.
Cale Makar.
He pulls a Cale. Now you've got 2 Cale Makars plus a Girard plus a Timmins.
Yeah.
I can't get over this. Maybe they make a move. I don't know what to do here. There's too much talent.
Yeah, they got a lot of cap space, so that's not a concern.
It's too much talent. I'm freaking out. I cannot wait for this team to start.
Oh, hey, listen. I got lucky last year. My team went all the way, so maybe this is your year.
It is.
Right?
It's got to be.
So we'll see.
It's gotta be.
But yeah, I mean, without further ado, so I assume then your wild cards are Dallas and Vancouver?
No.
You said you had Minnesota. You said you had Winnipeg missing, and you had Chicago and Minnesota behind them, and so that only leaves Dallas and Vancouver as your wild cards.
It's Dallas for sure.
You didn't think this through, did you?
I'm teeter-tottering between Winnipeg and Vancouver.
Well, you're on the clock.
It's Winnipeg, for sure.
Winnipeg.
100%.
Winnipeg makes the playoffs. Winnipeg.
And I say that anticipating a good Hellebuck year. They need that or they're done.
Mm-hmm. In a Dustin Byfuglien return? Midway through the year? He suits up?
Sure. I know you'd like that very much.
I would.
There's too much up there. I'm not gonna see Scheifele and Wheeler miss the playoffs. Those guys are too serious. They're too committed. They're too dedicated. So It's not going to
And,
happen.
and of course, I have Colorado as my number one wild card, and slotting in at number two, the Minnesota Wild.
So Colorado for you will play Vegas. Boy, in the
Well, it
play.
depends, right? Who finishes first
Ah,
between St. Louis and Vegas, right? I mean, we
boy,
may have St. Louis, Colorado. Wouldn't that be something?
both are bad.
That
Yeah,
would be great. But
that's
no, I mean, they come on. They proved they could go toe to toe last year against San Jose, who I considered an elite team. So they're not worried about matchups. Just get into the dance, and see what happens.
okay. Well, last question here before we end the show. The Toronto Maple Leafs announced Austin Matthews captain after highly controversial moment in Arizona.
Matthews is the captain.
No. I'm painting a picture. I'm painting a picture.
Oh,
You
you
say
scared me.
you say what about the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Oh, I mean, their whole credibility is shot down. I mean, you can't do that from a PR perspective. That's PR 101. I mean,
Yeah,
that news leaked. It was awful news. I know Matthews apologized, and a lot of
barely.
people have his back on this. But he's young and he's immature, and we're the same age as him, and we've all done stupid things. And who knows what he's up to on a May evening in the hot Arizona summer. But regardless, you can't name him cap, and I don't think this captain thing should even be a talking point, Kyle. I don't think Matthews was ever in the running for the captaincy. I'm with Bobby Mack on this one. He never came off as a captain with the media, or never came off as a guy who in the room is pumping up the boys. He hasn't been there as long as Morgan Riley. He doesn't have the professionalism and maturity as a John Tavares. You can't just be a captain because you're the quote unquote franchise player of a league. It doesn't work that way. Captaincy is through character, through kids like Shane Wright, and that stuff doesn't grow on trees. So Matthews should never have been considered the captain. This shouldn't be a conversation we're having right now. And I guarantee you this week, Morgan Riley or John Tavares will be named the captain. My money on Tavares. And that'll be it. And we close this book and we forget about this.
I wish we didn't have to have this conversation, but you and I both know the main rumors circulating were that Matthews was destined for the sea.
I didn't buy that from a second.
Come on.
It
That
makes
was
no
a
sense.
legitimate.
It
I know.
makes no sense. Him and Babcock aren't friends. It's like he had to fly out to Arizona to talk to this kid. Their relationship is in such turmoil. Babcock will not make this kid captain. You have to earn the captaincy with Mike. You don't just get it.
He's a punk. But for the first time, the public, and especially myself, can finally wrap our arms around the fact that this kid is a punk. A punk brat kid is leading our team to the Stanley Cup, and I don't like it. And I don't feel the need. I don't want to cheer for this team. I hate this team now. I hate this team. I don't want to cheer for Toronto whatsoever.
You made that point clear last week, right? With the Marner contract.
Yeah, but
These
this
kids,
is worse.
unlike Colorado, where they're spreading the wealth. McKinnon, he signed light because he had an off year the year before. That's just bad luck. But Rantanen with the 925 deal, clearly taking the hometown discount, or not hometown discount, but just the discount, knowing that there's work to be done there with Joe Sakic in the cap. And the Leafs aren't thinking in that same route. They want their money. They want to get paid. These young kids put up these numbers. They're spoiled. They want their money. And with how Kyle Dubas is spending this money, I really don't. But I'm still a Leaf fan. I still see the talent, and I'm going to cheer for them. But I can't respect how they're dealing with their salary cap situation. I don't like it.
But I thought it couldn't get any worse from last week, but it's gotten way worse. Like before, last week there was a chance I'd come around. Now, with this drama,
well, no, what?
I'm
No,
done.
but why are you complaining? They haven't made the decision yet. They haven't named.
It's not about the
captain, so why are you?
captaincy.
What's it about then?
It's
because
about this.
he was an idiot on a May evening on a hot summer night in Arizona.
because he's the face of this franchise, and
No, he's not.
he is. You know
He's
he
never
is.
been the face.
Yes, he is. He's the
No, he
face.
isn't.
He is the guy. He's the guy.
He's not. He's never healthy the whole year. Marner has put up more points than him. Marner's the guy.
I know, but Matthews is the
Tavares
star
is
player.
the hometown hero. He's the guy.
I know.
Why do
I'd
people
like to
consider
think
Matthews
that.
this face of the franchise? I never understood it.
Because he's the guy. He was the recent number one, the draft lottery. They chose Austin Matthews. He's the number one guy. He's the goal scorer. He's the face of the franchise. He's the guy. He just is. I don't like it. I don't want it. But he's the guy, and
But
that is the guy.
By default, the captain is the guy, and if he doesn't
No.
become captain, then he's not the guy. And then all that you had was a non-guy being an idiot on a hot summer night in Arizona.
No, your best player, your franchise player, is your guy.
He's not the best player.
Patrick Kane is the face of the Chicago Blackhawks. He's the guy. It's not Jonathan Taves anymore. It's Patrick Kane is the guy now. It's the best player. Matthews is the most skilled player, the most tantalizing, the most definitive player on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't like it, but it's the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're
I'm
disappointed that the guy got into that mess.
Yes, it just goes to show he's a prick. There's no way could you imagine a Connor McDavid, a Sidney Crosby, a Nathan McKinnon even pulling any one of those stunts. That dirty stunt he pulled. That is just that's laughable. This team's a joke. This
So
team
you're
is
off
laughable.
you're off the ship. You have no stake in this team anymore.
Nick,
That's on the record.
I deleted that song.
Oh wow, that
Yeah.
hurts. That hurts.
I deleted it. I'm like, it's done for me. It's over.
Okay.
It's done.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey.
Unless something miraculous happens, this team will not win me back.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I did research this morning. You look at their schedule. You look at like their first 15 games. They only have 2 or 3 easy games. It's like something like 3 and 12 as far as like easy to hard games as far as matchups go. They have a grueling schedule in October.
Good.
A lot is going to be put to the test. Like it's going to be interesting because you're going to have that tumultuous situation hanging over them because that's fresh in their minds. You know, Matthews, he's scoring goals in this preseason, but he's not even celebrating. Like you can tell, like there's this weird, like just darkness surrounding this roster and that player in particular. And, you know, you have that factor. You have the Babcock firing potentially if they don't make. So this could be a very tumultuous October in the city of Toronto. So as a Leaf fan who's realistic, you know, I'm gonna be sitting with my arms crossed and evaluating this team pretty critically.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. Oh, we should wrap it up.
Yes, this 2-hour marathon edition of the Rink Moose podcast, season 2, episode 2 is coming to a close. We hope you enjoyed our predictions for what they matter. I'm sure Kyle will go to the drawing board and think of a great bet for this coming year. And I hope you all enjoyed the Shane Wright story. I think you're going to be hearing more and more about him in the years to come. And I was glad I got to, you know, share a moment with him early in his young. So without further ado, thank you for listening. We will be back in a few weeks' time. We will be live back in our studio in Toronto, recapping. We hope you tune in then. And until then, take care and enjoy the start of the regular season. Rink Moose is signing off. Schmuck.